I apologise if my voice dies halfway through. We'll deal with it when it happens. So, I decided to call this Do You Know Me? Because I think we're starting to lose connection with people. I think that the sharing economy could really benefit if we all got to know each other a little bit better. So, we live in a world where we are more connected than ever theoretically. This is my day using social media and a bunch of other platforms, and how I connect to bloggers, artists, other people, with friends. Yeah, we live in the golden age. We all have social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of these things. We should be more connected than ever. However, unlike this guy, Megan said, 75% of us don't know our neighbours' names. About a third of us wouldn't recognise our neighbours if we saw them. That, I think, is a problem. I think that's where we're struggling. 23% of us use sharing platforms per week, and I think we can do a lot better than this. And I think that personal connection is where we're struggling. It relies on the idea, well, sharing economy relies on this idea of peer-to. It relies on the idea of making connections between people. I think that if we can make connections between communities, people, business better, that will undoubtedly benefit the sharing economy. And I think this is where we can really improve. So if you look at the reasons why people don't use the sharing economy, barring legal concerns and insurance and hygiene, which are other issues to tackle, you've got safety and feeling weird around strangers, which I think is a brilliant term. The idea that feeling weird around strangers is a reason not to do something is something we can really get into. It's something that I think if you look at what we've seen before, that we don't know our neighbours, we aren't interacting in public with each other, I think we can really tackle these. And safety as well. It puts that idea of trust in other people into perspective. And I think if we can actually look at this in terms of how we design our spaces, we can really tackle this and promote the sharing economy to where it should be. So, in order to do this, I've been looking at this idea of creating a way to denote space by illustration. I call it social space notation because that's really what it is. It's a way of describing how people use spaces socially. So I've started by taking away spaces and looking at them in terms of their context socially. So take a bus, for example. It seems quite a simple space. It's a wheel with a box above it, and it moves. But actually, if you look at it in terms of its social space, you've got two quite distinct areas. So the architecture building itself, you've got a bunch of different places. You've got a studio, it's a mix of different interactions. You've got a corridor, which is people walking by. You don't really interact with the people you see. Now, if you take this and put it into a wider context, you look at it as an overall, you get these spaces developing that look very varied. There's a lot going on. This is what's going on, what's good if people don't know. And it's very successful public space in theory. But it's because it provides a lot of opportunity for interaction. But I still think we could do better than this. Mansell Gardens as well. There's this place that is somewhat underused, it could be, but it is still a vital social space. There's lots of people interacting there. And I think by looking at this in terms of social space, you can actually see the ways in which people use it in a much clearer light. This is Bond Square outside of Westgate, and again it's quite a dynamic space. When you start to look at things in terms of the social interactions that happen there, they become a lot more interesting than you're just looking at face value. But I think actually if you go there on quite a quiet day, it's almost empty sometimes, but quite a lot of the time there's people there chatting and mixing with people. So I think I can get other people to do this. So bear with me. I've got Alina and Johanna. I'm going to try and get you two to try and draw this room. Could you come up with it? I'm going to stand this side. That's what I'm actually going to do. So think about the people first.
Start with good.
Yeah, start with me.
I was sketching. It's not finished.
That's fine. Now I wanted to try this for quite a while. Getting a captive audience is quite new.
Yeah. And then these people, some people have digital ones because they're on their phone.
Projections down here as well.
And some people are talking to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
The idea is that the interaction between people mean different things to different people. So if you're just walking through a corridor, you have a very kind of don't pay much attention to it. It doesn't really factor in your kind of day that much. But if you're, say, like me, talking to in my end of term presentation, that's a very important experience for me. Right, I'm going to cut you off.
I'll draw some more blobs.
Okay.
And this is a group of people around him. Double line.
So this is how I do that space.
Hey!
What I find kind of the point I'm trying to address here is actually that people, people experience spaces in different ways, but there's generally underlying common thoughts. And actually, I drew the phone in as well, so I'm really glad you thought about that. Not that there is actually anyone to phone, which is always disappointing or something. But I think we can really use this as a tool to extend our thoughts in architecture and actually really develop some new, interesting architecture that really addresses social spaces and how we interact in our social lives using this. So once you've broken down your social spaces into individual elements and then analyse them, you start to rebuild spaces and redesign spaces based around what you want to happen there. And this is what I want to develop. I want to develop a series of new typologies, as well as exploring our existing spaces and how we can redesign them better, accommodate for social interactions, especially those that we wouldn't normally have. So this is thinking about then how you can join up those ideas and make them into one constant thought or one idea to really create a space that you can use. Not just for these beautiful people in this stock photo, but actually for everyone who wants to.